Namaste. In the last sessions, we understood what Shivambu is and its ancient history as well as modern history we understood. Actually, people say there are so many references we find in ancient history of Ayurveda as well as some yogic scriptures wherein the importance of Shivambu is mentioned. But since childhood, we have learned that along with the fecal matter, urine is also waste. So how do you call it best? Well, it's very natural that this question arises. Urine and fecal matter are both expelled from the body. So along with the fecal matter, urine is not waste, it is best. How it is? We will understand that. Here, the most important factor we have to understand that there is basically no relationship between urine and fecal matter. Urine has a direct relationship, in fact, with the blood. Our blood is not waste, so urine is also not waste. Our urine is nothing but a derivative of our blood. Also, urine is, in scientific language, it is being called as blood plasma. To understand the purity and medicinal value of urine, we need to understand the very intricate system of kidneys where it is produced. First, let us understand the difference between urine and fecal matter. When we eat food, it goes into the stomach, then it gets into our intestine, where it is broken down, digested, and whatever is left becomes the fecal matter and is thrown out as stool waste. So there is a direct pipe from mouth to our anus where food is broken down and whatever can be used is digested and the rest which is useless for the body, so it is expelled as waste. So stool has no direct contact with the bloodstream. Now, the part of the food which is absorbed by the intestines gets converted into a glucose which is assimilated with the oxygen and later into hemoglobin, meaning it becomes our blood. The intelligence of the body regulates the constituents of the blood in a very specific ratio. If any constituent of the blood goes above the required limit, what will happen? It becomes urine. So, urine is basically an overflow of our blood, or we can say a derivative of the blood. Actually, here we have to understand how liver functions along with the kidney. Then only we will understand how urine is best and fecal matter is best. Actually, when we eat, the food is eventually broken down in the stomach and intestines into extremely small molecules. These molecules are absorbed into teeny tubules in the intestinal wall and then pass through these tubes into the bloodstream. The blood circulates throughout our body, carrying these food molecules and other nutrients along with the critical immune defense and regulating elements such as red and white blood cells that we call RBC and WBC, as well as certain antibodies, plasma, microscopic proteins, hormones and enzymes, etc., which are all manufactured at different locations in the body that blood carries. Now, the blood continuously distributes its load of life-sustaining elements throughout the body and nourishing every cell and protecting the body from disease. As it flows through the body, this nutrient-filled blood passes through the liver where toxins are removed and later excreted from the body in the form of solid waste. So eventually this purified clean blood makes its way to the kidneys. So here the most important factor we have to understand that liver does the cleansing of the blood and it is excreted as a solid waste. Now this purified clean blood is flowing towards the kidneys. Now here we will understand what happens in the kidneys. In the process of urine formation, kidney does mainly three functions. You may be knowing there is first is ultrafiltration, also being called as glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and third one is tubular secretion. These are the three functions. Now, The blood which enters the kidneys is filtered through an immensely complex and intricate system of minute tubules called nephrons, through which the blood is literally squeezed at high pressure, and this glomerular filtering process removes the excess amount of water, salts and other elements in the blood that our body does not need at that particular time. Many of the constituents of this filtered urine are again reabsorbed by the tubule cells in the process of tubular reabsorption and delivered back into the bloodstream. And rest excess elements are collected within the kidney in the form of purified, sterile, watery solution called urine. The remainder of the urine passes out of the kidney into the bladder and is then excreted from the body. That means that kidneys are not the excretory organs, but they are regulatory organs. Here, the most significant part we need to understand is kidneys do not excrete any waste product, but it does the job of regulation of constituents of the blood. Well, we shall understand this phenomenon with one illustration. Suppose there is an overhead water tank on a building, and we put on the motor pump and the water starts pouring into the overhead water tank. Once the capacity of the tank gets filled with the water, what happens? The excess water starts flowing from an overflow wall. The water which is coming out of this overflow wall, is it waste? As the tank is full, the tank does not require water at that particular time. That's why it is flowing out. If the same overflowing water, if we recirculate into the same tank after some time, it is useful. Am I right? Same way, whenever the water or salty minerals which are excess in our bloodstream are automatically regulated by our kidneys and put into the bladder. So, whenever there is a more water or a salt in the bloodstream, it flows to the kidneys and the urine is formed. That means our urine is an overflow of our blood. Suppose I drink 5 liters of water and all that water remains in my blood. At the chemical level, there will be a big imbalance. Am I right? The blood needs a certain level of concentration of its components to function. So, the extra water will get expelled in the form of urine. Similarly, from whatever we eat, when some nutrients become more than its required level, it gets expelled in the form of urine. For example, someone has fainted, did so many loose motions or vomitings, and the doctors suspect dehydration. They will ask the patient's relative, when did he last pass the urine? If the patient has not passed urine for 8 to 9 hours, it means that the dehydration is severe. So what does the doctor do? Immediately, the doctor will put a patient on a saline or on a IV injections. Why? Because there is not enough time for the patient to eat and drink water and absorb the nutrients into the blood from the intestines. So, the saline electrolyte water is directly injected into the blood. And after a couple of bottles of saline water or IV injections, what happens? Our body gets overhydrated and the patient says, please take this needle out, I have to pee. So urine, whenever there is a dehydration, we are not passing urine. Whenever there is overhydration, then only we are passing urine. So what is urine? Urine is an overhydration of blood, we can say. Here we have to understand that whenever there is a dehydration, there is no urine. So we can say urine is an overhydration of the blood. We will understand this phenomena of urine formation with one more example. Suppose you have a pressure cooker and you are cooking a rice in a pressure cooker. What happens within a few minutes? The pressure builds up, hot steam gets forced out and the cooker starts whistling. Why? Because of the heat and the pressure is created on the steam element which is more than it can be contained in that cooker at that particular time. So the steam comes out. The steam which is coming out of the cooker is not waste, it is a part of energy only. That particular energy is cooking whatever rice is there in the cooker. But at a certain point, the steam energy needs to be regulated, otherwise the cooker may explode. What will happen if the vessel is removed and the opening of that vessel is sealed? If you weld it out, what will happen? The cooker will explode. Same way, if we retain everything, whatever we eat in our blood, what do you think will happen? Have you ever seen a patient whose kidneys have failed? His face, hands, arms start swelling up. When the blood of the kidney failure patient is checked for a quantitative analysis, depending on the test result, he is told to limit his fluid intake to the minimum level. It is advised to take food in a limited quantity. Even the water intake is strictly monitored. Why? Because the system which was regulating the kidneys is not properly functioning. So, kidneys regulate our blood constituents and produce urine. Since urine is a byproduct of our blood, there is nothing to feel disgusting about it. I hope after understanding this mechanics, there is no more aversion left in your mind against urine. So urine is not waste, it is a best. It is a regulatory mechanism which is working in our body and which is regulating our blood. That is why we say urine is not waste, it is best. Thank you.